All right, so let's get into it. Apparently, this guy, Chris Canty, I'm not sure who he is. I'm not gonna call him nobody. I just don't know who he is. That doesn't mean he's a nobody. Whatever, whatever. That's said and done. Anyway, he seems to think that Joe Shiesty himself, is not an elite quarterback. That's crazy as hell. Let me just show you his argument, though. Does it make sense to you? It don't make sense to me. But does it make sense to you or no? Cam said something about it too. So I'm gonna just play the whole video and I'm gonna comment on it as they talking or whatnot. But this shit low key crazy. All right.
He's the most important player on the team, and they spent a ton of cash around him on the offensive side of the ball to prop him up and make sure that he performs at a really high level. So don't give me the empty calorie stats about how Joe Burrow is phenomenal. If he's so great, then why is his team not in the playoffs and a team like the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix is?
Yeah, he got defense.
As a rookie quarterback, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Thank you, lady.
Everybody wants to say, oh, Joe Burrow. Listen, I get it. Joe Burrow is a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. He's just not an elite quarterback because elite quarterbacks aren't healthy the entire season and skip out on the playoffs.
You don't think Joe Burrow's an elite quarterback?
Nope.
All right, so are we going to take it back or stand 10 toes?
No, I'm standing 10 toes down, and I didn't
You looking at? I didn't see that shit.
stutter when I made this statement, Molly. He's not an elite quarterback, and we've got to get out of this. We've got to get out of this thing where we want to anoint everybody an elite quarterback.
Who's everybody?
I just saying we can't give the runner-up to the runner-up to the runner-up elite quarterback status. There ain't but 3 spots on the medal stand. When we start talking about the podium, it's a gold medal slot, it's a silver medal spot, and it's a bronze medal spot.
Okay.
All right, the 4th place guy don't get an acknowledgement. And that's where I'm at with the Joe Burrow of it all. I think when you look at the big 3, when you look at what Patrick Mahomes has done, when you look at what Lamar Jackson has done, when you look at Josh Allen's body of work, those guys have done more in this league in terms of being able to validate their ability.
Kept looking like this nigga is insane.
As a quarterback. When it comes to being able to acknowledge the level of player that you are, we got a couple of ways we measure that in the league. It's Super Bowl rings, it's MVPs, and it's all pros. Joe Burrow ain't got none of those. Joe Burrow's claim to fame is once upon a time, 4 years ago, beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game on his way to lose.
Who else has beat Patrick Mahomes other than Brady? We didn't count it.
Losing the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, that doesn't give you elite status.
Yeah,
Okay. the audacity, since I gotta match fire with fire. I thought you was giving it away because you had the orange and black, Apple Watch. I was like, oh, okay, about to come around, go with the Bengals. But if it's not Joe Shiesty, who else? Yeah. Because when you watch Joe Burrow in the pocket, he knows he's going to get hit. He knows he doesn't have the offensive line to really sustain and hold up. But still, and yet, he's still delivering. Now, if you give Joe Burrow, as you know, Mr. Chris Canty, I need you to do your job on the defensive line so I can do my job as an offense, too.
So.
He's doing his job, but he needs other people to do their job. If you give Joe Burrow a top 15, heaven forbid a top 10 defense, where would they be then? His defense that he played with this year is atrocious. It goes without saying. His stat line, and everybody keep talking about, ain't this from the dude that talking about I ain't giving no Super Bowl back for it.
The crazy thing is, when Joe Burrow did make it to the Super Bowl and beat Mahomes, his defense wasn't that great then either. They just so happen to be worse now, but whatever.
Yes! Joe Burrow did his job. You do your job better than the opposing person doing their job. Like I said yesterday, you need 11 guys doing one thing the best of their ability.
They're also 5-2 in the playoffs. A lot of quarterbacks, like he mentioned Lamar. I love Lamar. He mentioned Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen. They don't have winning records, especially when it comes against that boy Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying. And they won 5 games in the playoffs now.
Not one guy doing 11. Joe Burrow held his end of the bargain up. Now, as far as his defense, they failed him, and they know that. And it's embarrassing to even say that a guy who put up those type of numbers doesn't have nothing to show for it because the inability of his counterparts.
Normally, I would look at somebody like Chris Canty and say he needs to be drug tested immediately. But Chris Canty, something's happened to him. He's phenomenal on radio in the morning. He's must-listen-to radio in the morning. But he's been getting up too early. And it's not all, and I've been there. I've been there when you've got to get up 3, 4 in the morning to get ready for that morning radio show. And you're not all there, Cam. You're just not all there. Trust me on that. You're not all there. Okay? And some of your faculties are missing and stuff like that. You just ain't right. And that's clearly Chris Canty. See, he didn't bring up the defense, and we know how knowledgeable this brother is. He's brilliant when it comes to the sport of football. He knows what the hell he's talking about. So the bottom line is that you didn't bring up the defense. That is on purpose. Chris Canty left that out on purpose. He didn't know. It wasn't that he didn't know. It wasn't that he forgot. He intentionally didn't mention that because he know that defense was trash. That's number one. Didn't bring up Zach Taylor either. This is a coach that, do you realize, since Zach Taylor arrived in Cincinnati 6 years ago, they are 1-11 in the first 2 games of the season. 1-11 over 6 years. I have called for an investigation into Zach Taylor and his staff for what the hell they're doing in the offseason because they are never, ever prepared at the start of a season. They are always battling and climbing uphill because they're never ready to go. Do you know that this year, Chris Canty, this is the first year that Joe Burrow has been healthy and they haven't been to the AFC Championship game. In the 2 of the first 4 years that he was out, because he got hurt 2 of those years, the other 2 years he was healthy, they were in the AFC Championship game. Okay, they lost 1, they won 1, and went to the Super Bowl. Now let's go to some numbers because I know you know this is important, Chris Canty. 4,918 passing yards, led NFL. 43 touchdown passes, led NFL. QBR, 3rd in the NFL. Passer rating, 3rd in the NFL. Now, where Chris Canty has a point, Cam, is in the 4th quarter. Because the first 3 quarters of the first 3 quarters of a game in this.
No, he putting them on a plate. What else did Canty have to say, though? He said something else. Let's see.
The difference in the game. Week 3 at home. Hold on. Let me say this. Week 3 at home, Monday Night Football against the Washington Commanders, empty red zone possession after empty red zone possession. Week 5 at home against the Baltimore Ravens, he throws an interception, the Ravens force overtime, and then they end up winning. I can go on and on. Pittsburgh Steelers game in Cincinnati in the second half, turnover. We keep going through this and saying the defense is to blame. The defense is to blame. The defense gives Joe Burrow less margin for error, yes. But Joe Burrow is not immune from criticism. And here's the last thing I'm going to say about the – hold on, let me say this, Stephen A. About the elite quarterback business. Elite quarterbacks in their prime that play all 17 games don't skip out on the playoffs. Elite quarterbacks in their prime, when it comes to the last half decade, don't find them teams more times than not outside looking into the playoffs. You keep bringing up the health part of it.
You need to stop.
Herman would say it best. The best availability is availability. That's on the quarterback. You can't blame nobody else.
Look, I had enough. I mean, what y'all think? What y'all think? Because, boy, oh boy.